ラズチャンネルのサラです。ザ・ナムショー2023、今年も来ております。私が今年一番注目したい3社、最初お送りしているんですけれども、第2弾目の動画はですね、Antelope Audioになります。Antelope Audioはですね、とても性能の高いクロックやインターフェースなどで知られている会社だと思うんですけど、なんとそのAntelopeからまさかのスピーカーが出たんです。この後ろに設計図が書いてあるんですけど、Atlas i8 っていう緑色のスピーカーになります。結構デカめのスピーカーなんですけど、アクティブスピーカーでして、スピーカーにAntelopeが手を出したのは今回が初です。なのでどんな感じのスピーカーか結構業界も気にしている感じです。なんで今スピーカーなのか、あとはAntelopeとはどういう会社なのか、そしてAntelopeの代表商品などを具体的にプロダクトスペシャリストの方に伺っていきたいと思っています。そしてさらにこれが一番Antelopeの目玉なんですけど、なんと超大物にラズチャンネルからインタビューしてしまいます。どなたかと言いますと、世界一有名な女性エンジニアと言われておりますシルビア・マッシーさんです。もうシルビア・マッシー知らない人ググって、めっちゃ有名なアーティストを手掛けてるエンジニアさんです。彼女はAntelope商品の愛用者でもあるんですが、こちらのブースにAntelopeオフィシャルのプレゼンテーションとして参加しているんですけれども、そこにちょろっとだけ私がマイクをいただいて質問しているシーンがありますので、ぜひぜひそちらも見逃さずご覧ください。シルビアさんって坂本龍一さんもレコーディングしたことあるんですよ。なのでちょっとその辺のエピソードも伺ってまいりました。せっかく日本の皆様に向けて配信するんで、日本絡みの質問をしようと思って、早速ご覧ください。For Japanese audience, can you explain who is Antelope Audio and a little bit of history of your company?
Well, I mean, we've been around for a long time. I'd say we're building on more than 30 years of experience. And that's related to our CEO, Igor Levin. He's actually the person who built the first ever interface with a built-in mic preamp. So he was actually one of the pioneers in audio clocking technology. I guess we're most known for our mastering grade converters and audio interfaces. We expanded our portfolio. We started offering modeling mics, and as of recently, like 2 days ago, we announced that beast over there, our first ever loudspeaker. We're really excited about it, and the reception has been great.
So yes, the speaker, it's so surprising. Why speaker? Like, why did you guys come up with a new speaker? That's a completely different field. I want to know the reason, and also if you guys have any like a background of building speakers.
Okay, so why speakers? Well, we build converters, we build audio interfaces, we build mics. We have our effects, right? By the way, they're going native, and we announced this also here at NAMM. It's almost like that we have the full setup for a studio that one might want to have. What would be the next thing other than, mic pre, a good interface, potentially loudspeakers, well, I guess headphones as well. We haven't gone there yet, but the loudspeaker was the next logical step, but also because of our involvement, with immersive audio, we really invested a lot of time in expanding the functionality of our Galaxy 32. It actually supports Atmos mixers with speaker management that is built into the interface, and it saves you a lot of money because you don't have to buy a monitor controller. So what will be the next step for immersive audio where you need a lot of loudspeakers? I guess you've seen that around here everyone's basically raving about Atmos, so we wanted to offer something that's really special, that's perfect for Atmos. It's a full range loudspeaker, even though it doesn't look like a very large loudspeaker. The speaker is called the Atlas i8, and I stands for isobaric. That's a specific design that we went for, that it's not a very common way to build a loudspeaker, and that is that we've got two 8-inch bass drivers working together in conjunction. And what that does is that it regulates the pressure behind the first driver, and it allows that loudspeaker to reproduce frequencies that typically wouldn't be able to. So the speaker goes down to 35 Hertz, meaning that you're gonna have that full bass response, and it really good hit, you know, in the chest when the kick drum hits, you really feel it.
Right here, I just listened to it, but I felt like it's kind of a silky sound rather than the punchy sound. So I thought maybe it's good for mastering.
Yeah, I think that'll be great for mastering and mixing. So you asked the question whether we've got any experience of building speakers. And the answer is, well, not loudspeakers, but we've got a long experience in building DSP and FPGA processing and digital boards and also amplifiers. So what we've done with this product, we designed the amplifiers ourselves. We did not buy them off the shelf. Also, the speaker has both an analog and a digital input, but even if you were to go in the analog input, you still will go through the digital circuitry. That will correct not just for the frequency response, making it flat, but also for the phase. Now what that means is that the signal's time aligned.
Correction system is built inside of the speaker, you mean?
Correct. And it accommodates for all kinds of phase shifts. You know, obviously there's a crossover phase shift. Loudspeakers are not perfect. Like there's no such thing as a perfect loudspeaker. So what we're trying to do is to get as close as to the perfect one by using this kind of proprietary processing. And I have to say, it's quite complicated. So what we managed to do is to work at 192 kilohertz, which is what a lot of brands cannot do because that introduces further additional latency. Because we have our own chips on the inside, the FPGA chips, and we've modded the boards and everything, and we're using two sets of filters, both FIR and IIR filters, we're actually managing to get a very low latency while still being able to achieve the results that we want.
Antelope スピーカー視聴してる。視聴したいと思います。I wanna try it.超意外かも。特徴は3つだった。ローはやっぱ言ってたようにローの出方がすごい綺麗だね。こんなに綺麗にロー出るのは珍しいと思います。こんな環境でもなんかね、ズンズンどんどん出てるわけではなくて、ローが聞こえるからといって正しいローの太さが出てるって感じがしましたね。体にズンズンくる感じじゃないんですよ。耳でしっかり聞き取れるローが出てる気がした。それが1つ目で2つ目が音の広がりかな。激しく広がってる感じがしましたね。やっぱ最近のスピーカーらしく。で6つ目の特徴としてはパンチが意外。なんかわかんない。アンテロープってさ、私の中では軽やかな音質って言ったらあれだけど、なんか正確な音質みたいなイメージがあるじゃないですか。だからなんか広域のパンチの出方はすっごいアグレッシブでめちゃめちゃ意外でした。スピーカーで結構体格狙ってる感じがしましたね。Now I'm gonna interview Momo from Antelope, an expert of the speaker.
Hi Sarah, nice to meet you. We were very excited to present new products, Atlas i8. It's a three-way system, although it looks as a two-way. This is because we are using a coaxial design for the mid and the high frequencies. Then we have the 8-inch woofers taking care of the low frequency segment. So something intriguing here, what we've did for the low frequencies specifically, is the isobaric design, which basically consists of two completely synchronized subwoofers which work together. This is for display. Here you can see the fully assembled speaker. We've put a glass plate here so we can actually explain in a better way the isobaric design. Basically what it does, drastically reducing the space inside the speaker and the volume required to create these low frequencies, which we are doing, while maintaining very high pressure level and low distortions. We've achieved 35 Hz without any boosts on any frequencies in the low frequency spectrum. What else we have very important is the filters we are using, both for the frequency response of the speaker, which is making it incredibly flat, and in combination with a linear phase response, meaning that all the frequencies are phase aligned, so you get a very transparent, very accurate and precise signal.
There's a button in the back, but also you can control it inside of the computer.
We will have a USB control, which you can be accessed through through a software on your computer. We have digital ins and outs, so you can route signal to the ins and outs. Yeah, we have AES input, which brings you 2 channels, so you can daisy chain a second speaker with a second cable. Also, we have preset management, so if you make a certain setting in terms of volume or EQ, because we're going to have a small EQ where you can make equalization on specific frequencies based on your room acoustics. You will be able to control this from the color display through the rotary knob, and you're going to be able to access the same functionalities from the control panel on your computer, because it's more convenient when you sit on the sweet spot and be able to make adjustments while you're sitting on where you're going to listen to speakers.
Thank you, Momo.
Check. Hey, all right. I brought my own mic.
I think maybe Sylvia's a little bit. I understand that you guys have a history. You've worked together for a while.
We have a history. We go way back when he had hair on his head, on the top. Well, you still got hair.
Somewhere.
The first time I met you was at a place called Grandmaster Recorders. It was 93 because we cut that record in 93. It was the Tool record, the second Tool record, which was the Undertow record, when you were my assistant.
I was around for a lot of that,
Yeah, and we're both Antelope users.
Yeah.
In fact, I think you precede me in using Antelope.
I got involved 4 or 5 years ago, I think, with an Orion. Just instantly felt like these were the best interfaces at the time I had heard, and then they just keep getting better.
It was the Galaxy for me. And that was about 4 years ago. And the first project I worked on was with Taylor Hawkins. It was a big surprise because we were at East West and they had a rack of IOs, a whole rack, and then the Galaxy came in and replaced the whole rack with just one unit. And it was flawless, So I'm a big fan of Antelope. And I used their mics too. Have you used their mics? The modeling mics, the Edge mics, and I used a pair of them on the Taylor Hawkins record for overheads on the drum kit. And I had them in a configuration, an MS configuration.
I remember where you placed these overheads, and they were quite up high from what I remember.
Right.
Do you like doing that a lot, like placing them
It depends on the room, and it depends on the drummer. If I want a more intimate sound, I'll bring them very close to the cymbals, because the purpose of the overheads for me is to capture the cymbals, not to capture the entire drum kit. If we're in a big room and the drummer is loud, I'll bring them up. Remember Sound City? Oh God. Johnny Cash. You were on the Johnny Cash?
Yeah, just for like a week.
Really?
Maybe 2 weeks.
With me?
With you. It was fantastic. Like some of the greatest days in the studio.
Oh my God. The Johnny Cash session is one of the most memorable times in my career. When I was in LA working with Rick Rubin and Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers with Johnny Cash, that was unbelievable.
Insane.
Well, every day it was like something magic happening, and it went on and on. It was like a 6-month project or something. The other thing that we're both doing together, but separately, Atmos mixing. We are both members in the DAM group, which is the
Dolby Atmos Mixers Network.
Dolby Atmos Mixers Network, which is kind of a secret club, isn't it? Is it secret?
It's kind of a secret. We don't want to get too big. We don't want too many.
I see. Well, now you really.
But it is cool. It's a group of mixers. Most of us in LA, all of us mixing Atmos. So I got to help these guys out a bunch in making a surround pane for the Galaxy line. So that's the big news this year, is that about a year ago, we built in surround functionality into the Galaxies. When I started setting up my room for Atmos, I realized I didn't really want to drop all the money on a dedicated controller. And I kind of had a relationship with these guys. So we just started talking about trying to build control functionality into the interface. So we did. We built a functional Atmos controller along with the great sounding interface, and then the big news this year is we got a remote control for it.
And now you can see right here, this whole section on the left side has all the speaker switching for the Atmos system. So you can have up to how many?
So it's 9.1.6, and you can mute and solo any speaker.
Mute and solo each speaker. I wanted to give an explanation of this microphone, because it's not, the Antelope didn't supply me with this. This is a mic I brought.
We should model this one.
You should model this one.
So the story is that my husband and I bought a microphone museum. So we have a historic collection of mics. We are also a no-kill microphone shelter. So we accept all microphones. So if you have some old microphones that need a home, we will take them. We will gladly take them. Well, this mic came in a package just before we left for NAMM and we drove here. I threw it in my bag and brought it, and it's been very handy. I didn't even know if it worked. We had not even tested it. I think someone built a house with this.
That microphone has seen things.
Sounds pretty good though, right?
Sounds good.
It's probably better than it was originally.
Possible.
We have somebody here who actually came all the way from Japan to ask you some questions. I don't know if maybe we should switch to that.
Hello, I am Sarah from Raz channel. I'm from Japan. My channel is for Japanese audio engineers. I wanted to know, how does Antelope product fit to your workflow?
Well, I have the Antelope Galaxy 64, which has 64 analog inputs and outputs. So useful for me is because I've got a studio that has several different personalities. So I'm doing stereo mixes, I'm doing Atmos mixes, I'm doing hybrid mixes that are through a console, and then I'm also tracking. So within those 4 different personalities, the routing is completely different for all of them. So I just set up the interface with the template for each of the type of session, and it's like a one button load, and then it's ready, bam. So I can go from a stereo mix with a rack-mounted summing mixer, I could go directly from doing that work into doing an Atmos mix within minutes. That's a big, big advantage. And I do have a large desk that has a lot of mic inputs. And we also have a large microphone collection. So having as many inputs as that, analog inputs, is very important and hard to find.
Can I ask you, you're probably able to set up, you'd be able to record and have a bunch of hardware inserts and potentially monitor in Atmos while you're recording. Is that true?
You know, I haven't set it up like that yet.
I don't know anyone who has, but if anyone's going to do it, I feel like you're going to be the first thing.
You know what? We could do it at our studio.
I'm gagging to record in Atmos.
Can I get a little message for Japanese fan of you?
Well, hello, you all in Japan. I have not been to Japan. Tokyo is a place I really, really want to go. And it's not just because I love the food and udon and sushi and sashimi, but it's the culture and it's the people that I love so much about the Japanese culture. So I'm looking forward to the day when I can come and visit, and I hope that we'll all meet at that time.
You recorded some Japanese artists as well, right? Ryuichi Sakamoto. Can you tell me any episode of his recording?
I worked with Ryuichi Sakamoto at Larrabee Sound in the early 90s, I think 1990 or 1989 even. And he was an extremely generous gentleman. Oh, so talented. I didn't actually realize who he was. He was a huge star, and we just lost him. And I was very sad to hear this. But what a great talent. I was so fortunate to get to work with him. And he gave me a special box set of his music that was an incredible package that had sounds in it. The package is, when you shake it, it makes sound. And that's always stuck with me forever, and I still have these gifts from him. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Sylvia. It was amazing to speak with you.
It's great that you came. Thank you for coming. And
Awesome.
Yeah. Yay!
Now, Antelope is famous for its interface. You guys have many different types. Which one is the most popular one?
I would say that's probably the Orion 32 Plus. That's been around for probably 15 years, which now was released in its 4th generation. We've done some improvements to it, so it's now Thunderbolt 3, meaning they can handle 128 channels over Thunderbolt. Sylvia Massey has the Galaxy 64. That's our flagship 64 in, 64 out analog input. inputs, 128 channels of Pro Tools, HDX, Dante, DSP chip. It's a monster.
Do you guys have anything for home studio?
Absolutely. I mean, we're standing right next to a couple of these devices. So we've got the Discrete 8 Pro and the Discrete 4 Pro here. Have a look at this one. It's got actually 4 headphone outs. It's the only one with 4. But this would be amazing. Imagine you've got 4 mic pre's and 4 headphones. If you have 4 singers, you could actually give each one of them a headphone and a mic and track them all together. We obviously have smaller and bigger devices as well. So we've got Zen Go, which is this really small portable device. That would be very suitable for, let's say, a singer who wants to record at home. So we're covering pretty much the full range of audio devices. We've got anything from really small portable bus-powered device with 2 inputs and 2 outputs, all the way up to the Galaxy 64. We were known for building large devices, and people that work in studios would know of us like for years now. But the home studio markets, these guys, they didn't know of us, and they wouldn't buy an interface that has 32 inputs and 32 outputs. Why would they need something like that? So with the Zen Go, we're offering the same audio quality, the same technologies, but in portable, small format, which is affordable as well. So the people actually can get that and see, okay, that's what the Antelope experience is about. But if they progress in their career, they can go for something else.
The Zen Go sound quality is the same as other interface?
All the interfaces are with the same audio quality. There's some small differences. For instance, the color, the mic pre's in the Discrete series are a little bit more colored, and we know that, and they're intentionally made this way. Where, for instance, the Orion Studio Synergy Core, they're a little bit more transparent.
Okay, and then Zen Go is also transparent type of sound, you think?
I would say so, yeah. What we're known for is sonic excellence. Fantastic mic pre's, fantastic converters, our proprietary clocking technology that draws on years of experience, 30 years of experience of building clocks, including, the history of our atomic clocks with the rubidium oscillator. So we're kind of leaders in that aspect. All that is now currently implemented in every single device, from the smallest to the biggest one.
I didn't know you guys have so many microphones.
We do.
And are these all modeling mic? Like we could change the sound?
Absolutely. So I should say that if you wanted to use the mic just as a normal mic with an XLR connector, you can absolutely do that. But the way the modeling works is that you either need to have one of our devices and do the whole processing inside the interface. All of our interfaces have both DSP and FPGA chips. Whole range of effects, it's like over 90 effects like compressors, EQ. But these chips can also support the processing necessary for the mic modeling.
The plugin come with the interface, right? I don't have to buy each plugin?
Depending on the device, there would be either 23 or 37 effects that come for free with the device. However, you can pay, and get more effects, and we've got over 90 in our library, including third-party effects such as Autotune, for example. Although, having said this, wait for the news because we literally just announced our native support for the effects, and there's going to be some changes. Correct, if you would like to go that route. Now we offer both options.
I noticed Zen Go, Zen, and SATORI is coming from Japanese words.
Yes, okay. I think this is related to Igor. He's really interested in Eastern culture and Buddhism and all these different concepts. I believe he draws inspiration from there.
はい、ということでAntelope Audioに密着してまいりました。いかがだったでしょうか。いろいろ気になる商品が目白押しだったと思います。私自身ね、Antelopeの音質自体はまだ聞いたことがないので、実際に自分の家で聞いて使ってみたことがないので、ちょっと今後使ってみてどんな感じかより具体的に皆さんにお伝えできたらなと思ってるんですけど、Antelope Audioさ、いろいろ話題って言ったじゃないですか。なんかね、Antelope Audioのインターフェース買おうと思ってる人迷ってると思うんですよ。昔そのシステムトラブルとかがあって、その時に離れてっちゃったファンの人たちがまあまあいるんですよね、日本のマーケットでも。だからそういう人たちがいやいやAntelopeないわみたいな感じで結構書き込みネットとかでしてるところをちょいちょい見かけると思うんですよ。正直本当に私もそっち側だったんです最初。Antelope Audioって調べた時にやっぱいい印象のある記事も出てくるけど、その逆も出てくるからどうなんだろうって思ってたんですね。撮影をするにあたってですね、Antelope Audioの方とお話ししたんですよ。もうAntelope Audioの過去の失態はもちろん認めました。で本当にお恥ずかしい限りですって言って、日本人のユーザーの方々にもすごい多大なるご迷惑をかけましてすごい申し訳ないって言ってたんですよ。別に私が代理で言ってるわけじゃなくてね、なんか彼の姿勢からなんかそんな叩かなくていいんじゃないかなって思ったの。だってさ、すごい歴史のある会社だってことは分かってるし、一生懸命頑張って て作っているから、その当時の商品に一時問題が出たからとか、その時会社があたふたしてたのに大変なのは分かりますよ。だからその時にカスタマー対応が悪かったとか、その一部だけを切り取って会社全体を叩くのはちょっと違うかなと私は思います。だって本当に音質がいいっていうのはもうシルビアさんもそうだし、みんなが認めてる事実なんですから、アップデートしてちゃんと改善したりとか謝罪をしたりとか行ってるわけですから、一概に叩かずにちょっとだけ見守ってあげてほしいなと思います。で、アンテロープオーディオの方とお話した時にね、このいろいろないざこざがあった後に入ってきた社員さんで、アンテロープのねちょっと救世主なんじゃないかなと思うぐらいの人格でした。私も喋ってみてすごいしたたかだし、自分は会社を改善していきたいって、当時使用してた方で嫌な思いをした方がいたら、少しこう許してあげるチャンスをね与えてあげれたらなと思います。別にアンテロープ使えよってこう言ってるわけではなくて、その叩く、会社を叩くっていうのは私はちょっと違うかなと思います。会社の製品のいいところも認めてあげてください。本当応援してあげたい会社だなって話して思います。なので忖度なしでね、私もシビアに、これからアンテロープの商品をいろいろ聞いていきたいと思っておりますので、実際に音質がどうなのかとか安定性がどうなのかとか、それでね問題がなければぜひぜひ大絶賛して皆さんにおすすめできる商品だと思いますので、皆さんぜひねアンテロープの商品気になったら試していただいて、アンテロープの未来にね、インタビューでも言ってたけどスピーカー、そして次はヘッドホンなんていうことも言ってましたから、アンテロープの未来に期待を抱いて、ぜひぜひ今後も応援してあげてください。ということでラズチャンネルザ・ナムショー第2弾の動画はアンテロープオーディオでした。それでは第3の動画お楽しみに。I have an interesting question. So this is for Japanese audience. Okay, my channel is for Japanese audio engineers, and it's not as popular as US, the Atmos mixing yet in Japan. So people are kind of doubting, like, okay, is it going to be really popular in Japan or not? So can you explain, like, how is the trend in the US market right now? Like, how many Atmos mixing job you get, and you know the belief for Atmos.
So it's 2023 when we're shooting this, right?
Yeah.
There are still some naysayers hanging on, but I don't know any mixers, none of my peers aren't getting requests for an Atmos component to stereo mixes now in the US. For most major label work, you're required to have an Atmos component. It's a delivery requirement. We may have started seeing a delivery requirement with Sony 360, which is a competing surround format. So you know, there's a lot to talk about in all that we don't need to get into, but like we've got two competing formats, but there have been several pushes towards surround audio, from quad in the 70s and 5.1, if you remember SACDs in the like kind of mid 90s. So you know, we've been pushing for these things, but the beauty of these new technologies, both Atmos and Sony 360, is that as a mixer you're able to create a mix, print it so to speak to a renderer of sorts, and you're never really committing that mix to sort of channels or like a particular speaker layout. It's still relatively fluid technically. We're sort of future-proof going forward, whether it's a headphone render or maybe Elon Musk is going to have something, a chip in our brain. I don't know what's coming, right? But we're sort of future-proof for all of those things. You know, you can get involved at whatever point you want to get involved, but I don't think there's any question whether or not it's going to happen. And that's strictly speaking from a guy trying to keep my family fed mixing music and adapting to like delivery requirements that are coming my way. We all live through the MP3 and sort of the dumbing down of audio. And it's just so refreshing for all of us to be on the way back up again, I think, and really trying to find super high quality audio again. And, you know,